Hey everyone, Andre here, and I didn't take part in this episode, but Owen recorded this with Hugo Durán. He's a journalist based in Spain, and he had a lot of stuff to talk about Spanish tennis, and obviously we know that it's thriving, and it's been thriving for a lot longer even than Rafa Nadal was on tour. So yeah, enjoy this episode. Have a good one.
I was wondering if you could talk a bit about how Spanish tennis is super strong right now. I mean, you've got Rafa, you have Paula Badosa, who just became number two in the world. You have Carlos Alcaraz, several other players who are really good. Like, is there a formula that they're all following?
Well, I believe there are many factors that have made it possible to have so many, so many big players in Spain. There's one that I found really important all these years. That is that Spain has always had at least one big star winning Grand Slams always. Like it was Manolo Santana in the 60s, then Orantes and Jimeno in the 70s, then Arantxa Sánchez Vicario in the late 80s and the 90s. Of course, then Conchita, Carlos Moyà, Sergi Bruguera also at Roland Garros, 90s. And then in the 2000s, of course, Rafa Nadal, but also Juan Carlos Ferrero, Albert Costa, Garbiñe lately. So for people, maybe tennis is not the most followed sport here, but we've had big stars. So the kids, the families were watching tennis at home, and that's a powerful thing for kids to like a big inspiration to begin playing tennis. And there is also a thing that is key, that is the weather we have here in Spain. Tennis is an outdoors sport. And here we don't have more than 30 or 40 days of rain a year. So it's very worthwhile for kids to, or for families to invest in tennis for their kids, because it's a sport that they can be doing almost every day with no interruption. And it's something that you maybe can't do in Norway, for example, because there you're not going to get good weather there. But yeah, it's impressive, no? Maybe Spain is, after the United States, the second biggest power in tennis historically. Actually, I think if we combine singles, male and female Grand Slam titles in the Open era, I think Spain is the second country after the United States with the most titles. And yeah, that's impressive. Of course, Rafa has won more than half of them, but yeah, we always had great players, and that's important.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. That all makes sense. I was wondering, because I think a lot of people say that the best surface to grow up on is clay, because it kind of refines your ground strokes. And we're in an era of tennis now where like you need good ground strokes on every surface, where in the past you maybe didn't need them on grass as much. And is that a part of it as well, that a lot of Spanish players grow up on clay?
Yeah, absolutely. Like here in Spain, most of the tennis clubs are clay court tennis clubs. And I think that's also very related with the weather thing I told you, because if you have hard courts, they recover from bad conditions, bad weather conditions, like rain. They recover better. You don't have to be taking care of that courts that frequently. But with clay courts, if you have rain every day of the year, the clay won't resist that. And yeah, that's a big reason to have clay here. And then I think it's a surface in which you have to fight a lot. You need to play long points. And yeah, when you're a kid and they teach you that hardworking tennis is like the way to get success is important, and that's part of the key of the Spanish mentality. Players from Spain, we have Rafa, we have David Ferrer, we have almost any player, Sara Sorribes, who you like a lot, and yeah, their mind is amazing. So I think playing on clay since they are kids is important for that.
Yeah. I mean, we can start with Sorribes Tormo since she came up. She hasn't had the best year so far. She's kind of dipped to 47th in the world after being in the mid to low 30s at the end of last year. But I was thinking, I think a really interesting question with her is how far do you think she can go in the future? Because she has a really unique game, but without the power there, I think it's going to be a struggle to win certain matchups.
It's interesting. I don't know if she will ever get to be a maybe top 10 player, top 20 player, but she could have a shot at Roland Garros maybe once. I think she has one very important thing, that he's a fighter like no other. She's for me, I like to say she's the David Ferrer of women's tennis. She doesn't mind playing long points and yeah, she has the tennis to compete to anyone, but still she lacks of that powerful shots that at times are crucial to beat those really great players. Like the top five, they are very tall players. Sara is not. Sara doesn't have a great serve, but I think that style of tennis is can work eventually at Roland Garros. But if you ask me, I wouldn't say she will ever win a Grand Slam, but for sure she will have great victories and in her career, and especially at the French Open, she will reach late rounds one day for sure.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. Like, I think her game is kind of less suited to maybe winning tournaments than it is to having really big upsets. Like, she beat Barty at the Olympics last year, and I think that's almost my favorite part about her game. Like, not only she can play long points, like you said, but that's almost her entire strategy, is like only play long points and stretch them out and use her endurance as a weapon and just try to outlast everyone. And we've seen that a bit with other players, like, Rafa and Novak have tired out their opponents, but like they win more efficiently because they have big weapons. Whereas Sorribes Tormo, it's like she wants to do that all the time. And I think that's so fun to watch because it means every match she plays could be a complete epic.
Yeah, absolutely. It's you are representing there a very clear difference. It's the lack of weapons is why she's not already a top 10 player. She hasn't found the way. I mean, she's I don't know how tall is she. I think she's 165, 170 as much, and yet that's not a great condition to have very powerful shots. Of course, we've had short players like Simona Halep, for example, that made their game really aggressive, but Sara hasn't. She hasn't found that way already, but she could do it one day. Of course, it's her strategy is always the same. It's like wearing out the opponent, and yeah, but of course the lack of weapons is determinant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think as a fan of hers, I think what I want to happen is for her to hire Ash Barty as her coach, who because Barty had that best serve in the world at just 5 feet 5 inches tall, which is incredible. But yeah, I totally agree with you. I think the lack of weapons is the biggest weakness right now. I was wondering, did you see her match against Kerber at Wimbledon last year?
I saw some highlights, but couldn't watch the entire match.
Okay, got it. Because I was ranting about this so many times. Like, I think that was the best match that was played in the whole year last year. The average length of the rallies was between 7 and 8 shots on grass, which is so crazy.
She plays very well on grass and on hard court. Even if she's been a clay court player, she played as a kid. She played on clay and all that, but she's competitive on both hard courts and grass. And yeah, that match I watched it, as I told you, the highlights, and they were epic. They were really, really good. Of course, Kerber is a former Wimbledon champion. Tough to beat there, but I think she reached the semis in Wimbledon. So well, it was really difficult for her. But yeah, that I believe that was a great match, at least for what I saw in the highlights.
That makes me happy to hear, because that match got no appreciation when it happened. and I was so upset. But I agree with you on the hard courts and the grass courts. Like she has a really good slice, and I think she actually has pretty good touch as well. Good drop shots, good at net. Of course, it's harder for her to get there because she doesn't produce really good approach shots as often as other players. But I'm really excited to see where her game goes in the future, because I think if she can add a bit of power, she's going to be really tough.
Yeah, I know you will be supporting her, so she will feel it. She will feel it and probably find the way to get those powerful shots.
That is music to my ears, Hugo. I also wanted to talk about Paula Badosa. She's just become number 2 in the world. I'm looking at the WTA rankings, and she's actually 2 points ahead of Krejcikova, who's in 3rd, which is pretty amazing. I don't think it's that close very often. And she's an extremely well-rounded player. She doesn't have a ton of big titles, Indian Wells being the biggest, but she goes pretty deep in every tournament. She rarely loses to players who are ranked much lower than her. I was wondering, what do you think her ceiling is?
She's playing really consistent tennis, and that's a big difference with Garbiñe, for example. We'll talk about her later. But she's playing really good. Like I think it was in Madrid last year where she played her first big tournament. I think she reached the semifinals, and then she went to the semis in Roland Garros, I think.
I think quarters. I think she lost a long match.
Yeah, quarters. Yeah, she lost to Zidansek. Yes.
Yeah, like 8-6 in the 3rd. Yeah.
Yeah, terrible. and of course, then the Indian Wells title, semifinals at the WTA finals, and she's very consistent and connecting very well with the Spanish people, and that's also a thing that Garbiñe hasn't achieved that much, maybe because of that consistency. No, but Badosa is truly playing very well everywhere she goes. Like she's playing quarters, semifinals in every tournament, and that's very important. I heard her in an interview this week in the Spanish radio, and she was. I like that from her. She talks about pressure, and she struggled a lot with that in the early stages of her career, and she actually says she goes really nervous to the court every time she has to play a tournament. And she said, especially in Madrid, playing at home, she suffered from that even more. But like she says she kind of knew how to deal with that, learned how to deal with that, and yeah, she says she doesn't know if she's ready to win a Grand Slam, but that her dream is not reaching world number 1, but winning one Grand Slam at any moment of her career. So I believe she will do it because she's playing great tennis. She's going to have a shot next French Open, I think. Of course, if Iga Swiatek permits it. But yeah, she's playing very good. World number 2, possibly future number 1, and hopefully she will be going very well during all her career. She's only 24, so she has many years ahead.
Yeah. It's interesting what she said about pressure, because in the Indian Wells final last year, it amazed me so much because that was her first big final. And in the tie breaks against Azarenka, who was a multiple-time Indian Wells champion, Badosa just went for all her shots. And Azarenka didn't play badly, but Badosa just landed these risky winners at the right time. And she won that match like a total veteran. It was incredible.
Yeah, it was incredible, especially because her rival was Azarenka, which has been on the top 10 for many, many years, Grand Slam champion, Indian Wells champion, and Badosa was playing that like I don't know the word, but like the underdog, you see?
Yeah.
And the way she got to the late stages of the match, playing that well, I think it was a tiebreak in the third set, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So well, that was amazing. I wasn't thinking she would win it in the end, but she did, and playing incredible.
Mhm. Yeah, I think that was also one of the best matches of the year. They were playing really long rallies. I don't know if you remember the rally on set point in the first set, which was also a tiebreak, but it was like 28 shots or something crazy like that. And Badosa kind of slowly tired Azarenka out. And eventually she hit this backhand cross court into the open court. And it wasn't that close to the line, but the rally had been so long and so tiring that Azarenka couldn't chase it. It was good stuff.
No, don't remember especially that one, but I watched the whole match, and it was incredible. It was very, very nice level of tennis, and possibly, well, I didn't watch that Sorribes at Wimbledon, but from the matches I watched, surely the best one I watched it in the year.
I will say Sorribes Tormo Kerber was a little bit better. Like people won't agree with me, but I do want to make that point known yet again. I agree with you that I think Badosa is going to win a major. I was wondering, when do you think it'll happen? It's kind of interesting that she doesn't think she's ready yet because, she hasn't gone super deep at a major yet, but she is world number 2. I think a lot of people were even saying she would win the Australian Open. So I'm curious about what you think about that.
It's with the WTA, the uncertainty in every tournament is looking like every tournament is bigger. So I don't know. It can happen this year, next year, or in 5 years. And let's see. I think what she was saying is she doesn't know if she's mentally prepared to win a slam, because physically, actually. It should be easier even than a WTA 1000, because they are playing 3 setters, but every 2 days. So in terms of recovering physically, that's not a big deal, which is nice because with that good recovery, we often see very good tennis at the last rounds of the female slams. But mentally, she says you have to be. She said you have to be very focused for 2 weeks, and you don't know. And she can say I believe I'm going to win a slam this year, because she actually doesn't believe it. But of course, she will try. And as I told you, I think she's going to be candidate in Roland Garros. Maybe not so much in Wimbledon. Actually, she hasn't played almost anything on grass already, but maybe at the US Open she has also her chance. We'll see. What I told you, the female tour is changing every day, and you can make predictions with that.
Yeah, it is tough. I mean, Swiatek is so dominant right now, and I think she's a huge favorite to win Roland Garros, but that was also kind of the case last year. I remember in the quarterfinals or after the 4th round, she was the huge favorite. Like everyone thought she was going to win, and then Sakkari beat her in straight sets. So yeah, anything can happen on a given day. But I think Badosa's consistency definitely speaks well of her chances, because she's going deep everywhere, so she'll get her opportunities. And and I think kind of an interesting part about tennis that makes it so hard is a lot of the time to win a major, you kind of have to lose in a final first, or you have to get close and then lose to learn about it. Like I think that happened with Dominic Thiem before he won the US Open, lost in the Roland Garros final twice, lost in the Australian Open final in a really close 5-setter. And you kind of have to experience those lessons and the pain before you can get across the line.
Yeah, that's why probably it won't happen this year, the Badosa's first title. But however, you can look at Swiatek and how she won her first French Open back in 2020. I hadn't seen more than 5 matches, being very generous of Swiatek in my life. And then she came to Paris, and I think she didn't drop a set in all tournaments. So, at times those things happen. But Badosa has experienced a very tough loss against, in my opinion, a worse player than her, who was Zidansek in the quarters of last year's French Open. But still, I think she has to get deeper before winning it. But of course, that's something that should be happening real soon. And of course, when you get deep, when you get to the semis, only 4 players can win. So your chance is there. But I agree with you. Dominic Thiems is a really good example that you are not ready to win the slams, to win Grand Slams finals against Djokovic in Australia the first time, against Nadal in the French Open those 2 times. But that's something that should happen one day.
Yeah, I think that's a great assessment. And yeah, I wanted to talk about Muguruza a bit as well, who you touched on earlier. She had a fantastic year last year, culminating with winning the the WTA finals. But since then, she hasn't had great results. She's had some injury trouble this year, and she's still only 28. So she probably has many years of her career ahead of her. What do you think the future holds for her?
She plays 3 months very well, then 5 very bad, then 2 again very well. She's very irregular, and that's not good, because it makes it very difficult for you to be prepared to win the slams, maybe. And she's won 2. She's actually, I think it's in Spain, only Rafa Nadal, Manolo Santana, and her have won both Roland Garros and Wimbledon. But for us, it's like shocking, because you see and you know her potential. Like when if she plays well, she can beat literally anyone. But she arguably ever plays well, and at times she plays bad and loses. At times she plays so and manages to win. And really, not many times she plays very well, and she wins big things like she did in Guadalajara last year. But the thing is that we are not surprised anymore that she loses in the first round or second in the Australian Open, like she did this year. I actually don't remember what round she lost, but yeah, and now maybe we have the French Open and she wins it, because she's like that all the time. She can do anything, and you don't expect, or you don't know what to expect from her tennis. But as we all know, she's potentially, or she could be the champion of all slams. I think she's already won in Wimbledon and the French Open. The Australian Open final, that still hurts.
Yeah,
against Sonia Kenin.
That was a tough match.
Yeah, that was a tough one, and I believe Muguruza is quite a better player than Kenin, but Kenin won playing a fantastic third set, and a terrible one by Muguruza, by the way. And then in the US Open, the same. She's playing. She has tennis for all surfaces, but she doesn't show it very often.
Yeah, I was wondering, do you think the problem is kind of the level of safety in her game? Like, do you think her shots are too risky, or is the consistency a different problem?
I think the risk is on her head. I think she, like the Australian Open final, that's a perfect example. No, I don't know how many double faults she did in the third set against Kenin. It's she doesn't have a good mind. She's never had it. At times it can work, and you can win the French Open, which is incredible, and beating Serena in the final, and you can win Wimbledon, beating Venus in the final, playing great tennis. But she never had a good mind, and she improved that when she hired Conchita as her coach. But still, she's lacking of that, because I believe the tennis is there, and yeah, she can be the world number one with the shots and her style and everything. But she's like, I don't know if she's 27, 28, 29,
28.
and 28, and still she's not ready to play those tough matches and in the mental way, and that's sad because it's like in some way a wasted talent, I believe.
I do think she gets a little bit of a pass from me on that Australian Open final, because in the third set, she had love 40 on Kennan's serve at 2-all, and Kennan hit 5 winners in a row. And I think pretty much any player would have been a bit rattled after that. But I do agree with you that a lot of the problem is mental. And I hope she figures it out, because she's so fun to watch at her best. And like you said, she can take down anyone.
Yeah, that's the thing. But I hope, like, I think Muguruza fans, I mean, I'm a fan of every Spanish tennis player, but real Muguruza fans might suffer a lot, because they never know what she's going to bring. But they can be thinking that maybe any day, the day you expect it less, she can come and win a big thing. So we will hope so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I hope there are good things for her ahead as well. Yeah, speaking to move into the ATP a bit, I think when I think of inconsistency, I think of Fernando Verdasco, because I mean, and this still kind of hurts me. I mean, I think most people listening to this know that I think the match he played against Nadal at the 2009 Australian Open is the best tennis match ever in terms of quality. But he was never able to reproduce that level afterwards. And I was wondering, what are your thoughts on his career? Because he can do these amazing things, but just even way less often than Muguruza. Like he's just all over the place.
He's the Muguruza of men's tennis. He's a weird Spanish tennis player, because he has a different style, like very, very powerful, and he doesn't have a good mind, which is a difference with most of the Spanish tennis players. So yeah, well, that match is if not the best, top 3 of all time for sure. Amazing level. The way that fourth set tiebreak, I believe that's impressive. Yeah, and yeah. Had he won that match, I think maybe all his career would have changed, and probably he haven't had any chance against Roger in the final. But playing a Grand Slam final is different, and you look at your career at other perspective. I think he has passion for the game. He's still trying. He's playing a challenger level now, and he could be retiring perfectly, because I think he's 38. And but no, he really wants to keep on playing. He couldn't get a wild card for Madrid. That's so sad. That has been a harsh thing here with many foreign players getting wild cards. But well, that's not the topic now. And yeah, Fernando is maybe, look what I'm going to say, maybe the biggest talent or one of the top 3 talents we've had in Spain. And it was so sad that he couldn't get more than a Grand Slam semifinal.
Yeah, I feel bad for him, just because like I know mentally it's something is not kind of perfectly calm up there. I mean, I think double faulting to lose that semifinal against Nadal kind of sums it up in a sad way. I was happy for him that he got revenge with that 2016 first round match. We were talking about that a bit before this podcast started. But I feel like it's very Verdasco that the revenge came in the first round rather than a semifinal.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a very tough matchup for Rafa, considering his bad form. He didn't arrive with good feelings to that Australian Open. I think he had just lost the Doha final to Djokovic 6-1, 6-1 or something like that.
Yeah, that was terrifying version of Djokovic, to be fair.
Yeah, absolutely. That was maybe with 2011 the best versions of Djokovic ever. But I mean, 2016, first half of 2016, Djokovic, but Rafa wasn't playing well that year. Actually, he played a terrible tennis in 2015, which was maybe the year where injuries respected him the most. But tennis didn't. Tennis and the mind, which was Rafa's biggest weapon, they didn't. But well, that's not. I'm going to other things. So I actually forgot you were asking me for.
No, it's no problem. I mean, I'm happy to kind of segue into Rafa because he's, I mean, he's won more major titles than any man in history. And so, yeah, I guess I'm just wondering, like, what kind of figure is Rafa like in Spain? Like, how is he viewed? Yeah.
And yeah, that's a good question. I think that there is no GOAT debate here in Spain. Like the day he beats Medvedev in the Australian Open final, every news and on TV opens with that, and it doesn't open with Rafa Nadal wins the Australian Open. It opens with Rafa Nadal becomes the best tennis player of all time. And yeah, well, actually, the real debate here in Spain lately, which kind of surprises me, but maybe could be a debate, is if he is the best athlete of the century, for example. Because I was like experts, I'm not an expert, but experts in all sports were saying like it can be Michael Phelps, Usain Bolt, and Rafa Nadal perfectly, and or Simon Biles too. And yeah, that's kind of shocking, but actually he's an immense figure. Is probably the most popular or the most loved character in Spain among all the people in Spain in all disciplines, in sports, cinema, everything. Everyone loves Rafa Nadal. He's not he's never in conflict with anyone and that. And of course, I think every house in Spain was crying with him when he won the last Australian Open.
Yeah, so I have to ask if of all the tournaments he's won in his career, which one do you think is the best?
Wow, I should think. Well, everyone has very, very present still that 2008 final in Wimbledon against Federer. They say that's one of the biggest moments in the history of Spanish sports. And also, I would say this year's final against Medvedev, because that was shocking for everyone. Like he was in, I don't know the word, but well, he was injured 5 months. 5 months before the Australian Open, well, not 5 months before, 1 month before, and he came there and won in a very Nadalic way, to say.
That's a great word, yeah.
So yeah, that was the biggest comeback of his career, no doubt. So yeah, it was impressive. Me that have watched hundreds of matches of Rafa, I thought there was. Well, what could I think? There was no match when he lost the second set. Like that's done, and then when he was 2-3 love 40. What do you want to think? That's games at a match, but no, what he did. So yeah, I would say maybe that Wimbledon in 2008 and this year's Australian Open, surely.
Yeah, those are good answers. And you know, he's making his comeback now. He's been injured for a little bit, but he's going to be playing in Madrid. And he always does well on clay, obviously, but over the past few years, sometimes he needs a little bit more time to find his form, so he doesn't do as well at the start of the clay season. What are you expecting from him, like right away in this comeback?
Well, he's training at the maximum intensity at the moment, which is very good. It wasn't a big injury. happily, and I think it was in some way good to stop because he had a ton of matches in the beginning of the year, and that was not ideal for his foot. But it was not that bad to miss Monte Carlo and Barcelona, and now start with guarantees that clay season in Madrid, where he's not been playing well the last years. That's the truth. He lost to Tsitsipas in 2019. He lost to Zverev playing very bad last year in the quarters. And yeah, it's not his best place with the height of Madrid. It's a tournament for servers more than Rafa style. But I think he's going to have a chance even here in Madrid. Like I feel he's ready for it. And of course, the goal is the French Open. His number one goal. I think he's going to be the biggest favorite, unless he has any little injury that he couldn't play at Rome or something. I hope that doesn't happen. I think he's going to be the biggest favorite by far. Let's see what Djokovic does here in Madrid and Rome. But yeah, I believe the 14th could be coming.
Yeah. I mean, and I'm glad you brought up Djokovic as well, because I think the rivalry between Nadal and Djokovic is the best rivalry active right now. I think it's the second best ever, behind Chris Evert and Martina Navratilova. And since we were talking about Madrid, do you remember that 2009 semifinal between those two that went for 4 hours and 3 minutes?
No, that's maybe, we could say that's one of the best, if not the best, 3 sets match of all time.
It's up there, yeah.
That one in Madrid, impressive semifinal. That was the first year that the Madrid tournament was played on clay in the Caja Mágica, and I can imagine a better way to start with it. Sad that it was not the final; it was the semifinal, and then Rafa was couldn't move in that final against Federer. But impressive match, impressive third set tie break, saving I don't know how many match points. 3. Impressive, and yeah, it wasn't 2009. Did Djokovic win the World Tour finals that year?
I don't remember.
No, it was Davydenko. Yes, yeah. Davydenko. No, so 2009 wasn't a great year for Djokovic. Actually, his explosion was in 2011. He had a very bad 2010, had won the Australian in 2008, but hadn't had a great 2009, but still played some great matches, and that one is incredible.
Yeah, that 2009 clay season is so bizarre because on the whole, like you said, Djokovic wasn't having that good of a year, but he was so good during the clay season. Like he played Nadal in Monte Carlo, Madrid, and Rome. And he lost every time, but he was getting to those matches. And Nadal was winning everything. But then with this Madrid match, they kind of took it enough out of each other that it paved the way for Federer to not only win that tournament, but Roland Garros as well, because they both lost early.
Yeah, Rafa wasn't having a good moment mentally because his parents were divorcing, and we all know how much his family means for Rafa, and it was tough for him to be playing. He didn't quit playing, and he still played well, but no, he wasn't having a great time, and I believe he wasn't feeling well physically in that match against Soderling. Like he had a lot of fever or something like that, I heard, but still he didn't play a good match and lost. That's the thing. No excuses. But yeah, actually had a good clay season, but couldn't get it in the French Open. Happily for Roger, because I don't think he would have ever won the French Open if it wasn't that year.
Yeah, I agree with that. Before we move on to Alcaraz, who is making waves right now, I do have to ask, how many majors do you think Rafa will win when he retires?
I think he's retiring maybe next year or 2024. I think an ideal date would be the Olympics in Paris in 2024. They are played in the Roland Garros courts.
Right.
So let's say he's going to play like maybe 8-9 more slams, no more than that. I think he can win the French Open this year, and maybe next year we will see. I'm going to go for 23.
23? Okay, yeah. I was going to say 22 or 23.
By the way, he's closer as ever to win the calendar year Grand Slam. Who knows?
That's right, yeah. Is as close as he was in 2009. Yeah, I mean, people were predicting that when he was on that winning streak, like Acapulco and Indian Wells.
Well, I think he has a chance in every slam. Like after seeing the level he had in the first part of the year, in Wimbledon, for example, who can play better than him in Wimbledon? The young players don't play great there.
No, it's
only Djokovic.
Yeah.
Only Djokovic. I think actually, I expect Djokovic to get better as the tournaments go through. But if we had a Nadal Djokovic in Wimbledon this year, that would be epic. I think we all want. I read you in Twitter the other day. We all want a lot of Djokovic Nadals this year, and then in the U.S. Open, he's won. He hasn't played for the last 2 years, and in 2019 he won. In 2018 he had to retire. In 2017 he won. 2016 he was playing like injured. 2015 doesn't count. 2014 didn't play. 2013 won. 2012 didn't play. 2011 final. 2010 won. Like he always does well in the U.S. Open. So why not? Of course he's not going to win the four slams. I don't think so. But yeah, he's gonna have a chance to win all of them because there are not many players better than him at the moment.
Yeah, I think the U.S. Open, if he can somehow start that tournament in the best possible physical condition, I could see him winning that. I think if he were to play Djokovic there, Djokovic would win. But Djokovic in the U.S. Open, something about that just does not mix. So, but yeah, I'm really interested to see how his year pans out because he's only lost once this year. So I'm hoping we get some more great matches like the Australian Open final.
Yeah, absolutely. You were saying also, I remember your tweet that maybe Nadal Medvedev was the rivalry of the year, and all of a sudden we found that Medvedev wasn't playing the clay season. I don't know if he's playing Roland Garros. Maybe he gets there, maybe not, and he's not going to be able to play Wimbledon too. So maybe we don't have a Nadal Medvedev until August. Until Canada or until Cincinnati. Well, Cincinnati, Rafa doesn't play Cincinnati, so who knows? But yeah, that was a great beginning of the year. And when Djokovic is there, when Alcaraz, which I think he's number 3 in the race at the moment, he's ready to play against anyone. When we have those matches, I think we're going to enjoy a lot this season.
Yeah, I agree with that. I would take another Nadal Medvedev match at the U.S. Open because that final in 2019 was pretty good. So speaking of Carlos Alcaraz, the young phenom, what do you think he's going to do this year? Because he's already destroying the next gens. I mean, Medvedev and Zverev not yet, but everyone else basically. He's improving so fast. He almost beat Nadal in Indian Wells. He's fast. He has endurance. He can do everything. Only weakness maybe is the serve. Do you think he can win a major this year? Because some people are saying he can.
I don't think so, but I wouldn't be surprised. I if I have to say, I say no. He's not going to win a major this year. Mm-hmm. But after seeing what we've seen in these months. Who could say it's a surprise? Like he's playing, maybe it would be a surprise in Wimbledon, for example.
Right.
But in the U.S. Open, I actually think his game is more for hard court at the moment than clay courts. I I even think Alcaraz thinks so, and I think he's going to have a shot at the U.S. Open for sure. Like, well, we'll see. Spain is dreaming with a Roland Garros encounter between Rafa and Alcaraz. Of course, with a final, but the final is very far away. But it's what I tell you. It's a big unexpected surprise and a big unexpected illusion and hype, because when now that Rafa's career is vanishing, he's 35. He has like maybe no more than 2 years ahead. We have the biggest rising star in Spanish tennis and maybe in the world of tennis since Nadal and Djokovic. So that's incredible. We can't believe it. Like, and the way he won Barcelona the other day, like he plays 3 hours and a half against De Minaur. Carreño plays 1 hour and a half against Schwarzman, and then he beats Carreño 6-3, 6-2. It's impressive. It's incredible. He does one thing that is impressing me a lot, and it's not common among the young players. He manages to win on the bad days too.
Yeah,
and that's not an easy thing, and that's not an easy thing to do at 18. And he played terribly bad against De Minaur in that semifinal, and then he recovered physically and mentally from a very bad match. Like, yeah, I can imagine he ended the match thinking, oh, I played terribly, but won. I don't know how, with that passing, with that slice forehand passing that he still doesn't know how he put it in. But how does he play that well in the final later? It's incredible for me. And Madrid is Madrid is a surface. Madrid conditions, I think, are perfect for Alcaraz. He like to play with height, with high bounce, and I think if he doesn't get nervous, because of course at 18, 19 next week you still have to deal with pressure, and it's not easy. But he's going to have a chance for sure in Madrid and in the slams as well.
Yeah, I really liked what you said about how he's able to win on his bad days, because I think that's actually something that Swiatek has started doing. Like before, I think earlier this year, even like at the Australian Open, she had a bad day against Collins in the semifinal, and lost pretty easily. And I think last year she was sort of struggling to win with her B game. But since then, like she's been winning on her bad days, and she just destroys everyone on her good days. And now she's a dominant number one. And so, yeah, I think the fact that Alcaraz can do that is a great sign. I mean, and some of the matches he's been a part of as well, like that match in Indian, I can't remember if it was Indian Wells or Miami against Kecmanovic.
Miami.
Okay. Yeah. That, I mean, that was just incredible. And Kecmanovic was playing better than him, but Alcaraz stole it at the end. And that match point, my gosh.
It was, I don't know what's the word in English, but like you are always behind. You're always behind. Like Kecmanovic had the momentum for all the match. He played better than Alcaraz, but somehow he won that. And well, that was an impressive match. One of the matches of the year. Nobody will say that because that was a fourth round of a Masters, but between Alcaraz and Kecmanovic. But great match, and hopefully a great rivalry for the next years. Kecmanovic plays amazing as well. He's doing very well with David Nalbandian as coach. And yeah, that was a great match. And that's what you say, no? Those matches, Alcaraz didn't play well at all, but won. And in the final against Casper Ruud, he didn't start well, but
yeah,
he has that maybe like Rafa, and I'm not comparing them. That's something I hate. But Rafa does that. He sometimes begin matches playing bad and break down, and then you can't explain it, but he recovers the break, and then in 4-all and break point, and he converts it and serves it out, and that's it, and that's the set, and probably Ruud played better that set, and Alcaraz is getting it, and that's very important if he wants to be successful, that he's already doing it. He has to win in the bad days, and he's doing it.
Yeah, and he also has that God mode where when he figures it out, he wins 4, 5, 6, 7 games in a row against anyone. I mean, another question I have is who is going to be his rival? Because if you look at Tsitsipas, who his fans will get annoyed at me for saying this, but Tsitsipas has been on the tour longer than Alcaraz by a long way. He's got more experience. Like, you know, he's older. And Alcaraz has beaten him all three times they've played, and he's beating him like more and more easily almost. Like Alcaraz has kind of already figured that matchup out, and Tsitsipas is the 5th best player in the world. So when Djokovic and Nadal retire, who is going to be Alcaraz's equal? Like, is that person even on tour right now?
If we see how the things are going at the moment, we could say that nobody. Maybe on hard courts we have Medvedev, Zverev, if they manage to play well the last years of their careers, but even on hard courts, Alcaraz I think is able to beat Medvedev and to beat Zverev. So it's he has no rival at the moment. If we think in the future, but he's 18. And maybe in a couple of years we have Shintaro Mochizuki playing top 10 tennis, and who could say that now? Or Holger Rune, who says he's going to win more Roland Garros than Rafa Nadal.
I will bet all the money I have that is not going to happen.
I wish him good luck for that. But he can be a rival. But at the moment, Alcaraz is much better than all of them. He's playing top 5 tennis, I think, at the moment. Actually, this year, who's been better than him? Probably Rafa only.
That's it. Yeah, I mean, yeah, and he's 3rd in the race, and I think the thing that speaks so well of him is like, I can't really imagine him falling that much below that, right? I mean, maybe at Wimbledon he won't do well, but like every other tournament, he's going to have a chance to do really well at if he doesn't get injured. Like he's going to do well on pretty much all the hard courts and clay courts. So like who really is going to get ahead of him? I mean, Djokovic
probably, and but I don't expect Tsitsipas to end doing a better year than Alcaraz. I think it's a real possibility that Carlos ends the year as maybe world number 3 or world number 4, because it's what we are seeing. He's playing very, very well, and yeah, Tsitsipas is ahead of him because he won Monte Carlo, and Alcaraz didn't play well. Won his first match at Monte Carlo. It came really close to Miami. I don't know who I read in Twitter saying that the hardest combined tournaments to win are Monte Carlo and Miami and Monte Carlo, and it's probably it because it's a change. It's changing the surface in close in 5 or 6 days. And Alcaraz played a bad match against Cordoba, but the other 2 matches he's lost is against Rafa, playing very well in that Indian Wells semi-final, and against Berrettini. That you said, and I agree with that in the next 10 matches, Alcaraz would have probably won those 10 against Berrettini. He began the match nervous, but played very well the 3rd set and the 4th set, and in the 5th he was in the tiebreak. So it's not a big deal. But that's three losses, and we are in April. He's playing everything, and it's only 3 losses. It's incredible.
Yeah. No, I was really glad you brought up that thing about Berrettini where like he would have won the next one, because I remember watching that match, and that was another rare match where like I really got behind one player, because in the first like 4-5 games, Alcaraz actually played really well. But then his level went way down after that, and it didn't really come back until the middle of the 2nd set, start of the 3rd set. But when he was on that comeback, I was like, okay, I really want him to win. This would be really cool. And then when he lost, I was a bit disappointed, not that much because the match was so fun overall. But I remember thinking when I was writing about it, like, if they played again right now, he would win. And I think he's backed that up. He beat Berrettini pretty comfortably in Rio. I think he's gotten better since that match. I really want him to play Djokovic and Nadal again. And this is another question I have. Like, if he plays Djokovic in Madrid, how do you see that match playing out?
I see Alcaraz is the favorite, but because Djokovic is is still not at his level, especially if they play in the quarters. I think they could face in the quarters. The draw is still not out. It will be out on Friday. Mm-hmm. But I think Alcaraz will be the favorite, probably. Maybe Alcaraz's game is not as damaging to Djokovic than it can be to other players, because Djokovic doesn't refuse that aggressivity of Alcaraz, of any other player. Like, he defends very, very well. He's the best doing that, and maybe it would be tough for Alcaraz. But if I had to bet, with the crowd next to Alcaraz and that, I think he will be the favorite, and he could take it.
Got it. Yeah, I mean, I think my biggest question is if Djokovic is having a good returning day, and him already being the best returner of all time, I think Alcaraz could find it really, really hard to hold serve comfortably. And so I feel like if Djokovic can find a way to get in all his service games, then he would be the favorite. But I think if that doesn't happen, or if Alcaraz improves his serve so that he can get some easy holds, I think it's going to be really tough for everyone. Because that's really the one thing. Like, if he can become not even a good spot server, just like an average spot server, like, there's going to be nowhere to hide, you know?
Yeah, no, and that's what we see. No, he's playing top 5 tennis, but still has a margin to improve.
Yeah,
and actually, the serve is something that we all believe he can really improve, especially if you see his physical condition. How has he become a bull in months? Like, we saw him playing in the next gen finals against Nakashima and Korda and that, and he was like all the other year, like, the guy is strong and that. And then he appeared in Australia, and what is that? Where were all those muscles? And yeah, he's very, very strong, and that's important for a good serve. And I think he still has that margin, as I told you, and that Juan Carlos Ferrero, which is an amazing coach, and he has a big part on Alcaraz's success, will work on that, and we'll see real soon Alcaraz serving much better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I wanted to ask you, you said earlier you really hate the comparisons between Alcaraz and Rafa. Alcaraz gets compared a lot to the big three. I mean, lots of Rafa comparisons, lots of Djokovic comparisons, but he says that he tries to play like Federer. And so I was wondering, for you, why don't you like the comparisons?
Of course, I love the comparison. I hope my grandpa says that Alcaraz is going to be bigger than Nadal. I tell him, wait. No, I don't like it because that's not a good message to Alcaraz. I think he has to be humble. He has to. Rafa is his idol, and be compared to your idol is not an easy thing to deal with. But of course, well, the other day I was tweeting a fact, not a comparison, a fact that is that they both became top 10 for the first time on the same date. I think that's a really interesting thing. But I got a lot of comments like, why do you compare Rafa with Alcaraz? And I said, you are not telling me this. Come on. I'm the first enemy of that comparison. Because, yeah, I know it pressures Alcaraz for sure. You can tell him he's the new Nadal. Look, the other day in the most important Spanish journal, sports journal, there was an article and it was Jaime Alcaraz, which is Alcaraz's 10-year-old brother, loses 6-love, 6-1 to I think he's called Davidov, and
You've got to be kidding.
I could
a 10-year-old.
I couldn't believe that.
Yeah.
Like the title of the article was Jaime Alcaraz loses to 6-love, 6-1. But come on, are you serious?
Right.
Man, it's but of course Carlos knows that if he wants to be successful, he's going to have to deal with that comparisons, with that bad press, bad media, but that's part of the game. No, Naomi Osaka hasn't been like prepared to deal with that, for example, and many other players don't do, and it's not an easy thing. But I know, and our calm is that he has a very good team, and Juan Carlos is not going to tell him you are the best player. You are. He's like a bit of a Tony Nadal, I think, and that's good, and that's a thing that half has calm in that way, because we believe that he's in safe hands, and he has the right people next to him to be successful.
Yeah, I mean, he's rising so fast. I think the hype is harsh to contain and keep under control. I mean, even I know it's playing with fire to compare him to the big three. Like, he plays so well, and it's really hard not to kind of project what he'll do. I mean, when he won Miami, I knew I had to write about him, and I called the piece "The Golden Boy" because he's. I mean, I think everyone kind of agrees that, like, since the big three, he is the first young ATP player who's so obviously a potentially legendary talent. And so I kind of. But, like, if that's him seeing headlines like that, that's not the easiest thing to deal with, for sure.
No, you are right on that. I think that's simply telling the truth, and what we all see. Who has played as Carlos Alcaraz at 18, and not at 18, at 20 or at 22? Zverev has never played like Alcaraz is doing when he's God mode, like you say, and yeah, of course, it's what I say. You have to deal with many things that you wish you didn't have to do, but in the end, I think he knows that's part of the game. That it's not all good things. You have to, at times, you have to play with something hurting you. At times, you have to play with. I don't know, with rain, and at times you have to deal with the pressure and the media pressing you, and what can you do with that? Just learning to deal with it.
Yeah, and you know, you've done some journalism stuff yourself. You do some writing. You've interviewed some players. I was wondering, if you had the opportunity to ask Alcaraz something, what would you ask him?
Wow. I had to think on that.
Yeah, sorry, putting you on the spot a bit.
No, it's all right. Maybe I'd like to see, and I don't think anyone has ever asked him that. What are his expectations for his career? Like, or at least his goals, the expectations. Well, the goals. What would he like to achieve? And I would be interested if he says winning a slam or being the GOAT. I don't know.
Or winning, 15 slams.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask you, how many slams would you say Alcaraz is able to win?
This is such a tough question, because I think in terms of his game, I think the sky is the limit. But I think the thing we don't know right now is he going to get burned out? Is his body going to hold up? And I think right now that sort of thing is just kind of impossible to predict, because, you know, you have Thiem, who kind of suffered with motivation after he won his first one. You've had players like Capriati who can burn out in other ways after winning like several majors. You can have players who win a ton and then end their careers maybe before they could have. and it's so hard because I just have no idea what's going to happen with all of that. Like, I think if all of that goes well, like, could he win 20? Like, maybe, sure, why not? If none of that ends up being an issue, but I think that's a huge if. So, and yeah, maybe a rival will come up who starts taking all the titles away from him. I mean, I think in 2004 probably people would have said like, oh, Federer's going to get to 20 majors by 2009, 2010. And then Rafa came up and Novak came up, and that didn't happen until much later. So I want to be safe with my guess, because if I overshoot it, I think it's easy to do. So I'm gonna go with 12. What do you think?
Yeah, I'd say 10. Okay. 10 is also a safe one, but as many, the more he wins, the better. So we hope. Yeah, I mean, we are very here in Spain. We are very hyped with him. Personally, me, that I expect to be really working with communicating about tennis. Like it's like really good to know that, like, for the next 20 years we have a potential star or a star. I think he's going to be very mediatic, even if he's not winning the things. Just the way he's started his career is like, we are he might be 5 years without winning a slam and we will still talk a lot about him for sure. And yeah, but maybe 10 is a fantastic mark. Like I think only would be the big three: Sampras and
Emerson,
Borg.
I think Borg. Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Ahead, so
yeah. What I can say about him is, like, if injuries don't get in his way, it's hard to imagine that he won't be number one and that he won't win all the majors. Like, there's nothing in his game that suggests like any surface will be a problem. He's going to get better. And it's just hard to imagine like his game being any more well-rounded. Like, I think if you could design the ideal ATP prospect, it would look very much like Alcaraz, right? I mean, he does everything well. He does many things at a world-class level. So yeah, I mean, I think the sky's the limit.
Yeah, looks like a good guy. Which is I think that's important too. We have with the big three charismatic players, players with character, players that have really inspired a lot of people in three very different ways. I think Djokovic has been always more controversial, but the truth is fighting for his ideas and all that stuff. We saw that in Australia with all that drama. He thinks one thing and goes for it, and the most ambitious maybe athlete of all time with the records and with being the best and the GOAT, and that's really good. And then we have Rafa, which is as the title of your piece, the fighter, and always fighting and until the end of his career. That match against Medvedev is the perfect example. And Roger is the class, is fancy, is the most beautiful athlete of all time to be seeing on a tennis court. And yeah, three different characters, but all of them have impressed the whole world, and we've seen among the three maybe the biggest thing in sports ever. Like tennis has grown a lot thanks to them, and that's fantastic, I think.
Yeah, I mean, and you touched on this. I think a really key thing is that, like, they're all nice guys, and I mean, fans of one or the other will tell you different with their screenshots and arguments on Twitter, and they've all made mistakes. Like you said, Djokovic has been part of some big controversies. I mean, the other two have been controversial at times, but like, I think they're all nice people. And this goes for Serena as well, who's the GOAT on the women's tour, and is like of this equal legendary status. like they're all nice, they're all worthy people to make your idols. And I think tennis fans don't realize how lucky we got with that, instead of having just like a bad person who with GOAT level talent.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like, I don't think we will ever have something like that in the history of tennis, at least in our lives. We are not going to see three players winning 2020 and 21. That's incredible. They tell us that 20 years ago, and what would we have said? No, like, are we really going to experience that? Like, the probably the biggest three rivalries. Well, maybe McEnroe and Borg are there, but the biggest three rivalries in well, not three, and it's my maths are not well, but all of them, like Federer Djokovic, Federer Nadal, Djokovic Nadal, Djokovic Federer, and I'm missing. No, I'm not missing anything.
You got them all. It's just three.
Yeah, okay. And yeah, that's it. That's incredible. The matches they've brought us in every place in the world, in every slam, in incredible. The only thing we wished we have had, I don't think we will ever have it, is a Federer Nadal meeting at the US Open.
Right.
The only, and I'm being very optimistic, the only shot for that to happen would be in 2023, but I don't think that will happen, because I don't know if in case Roger is still playing, which I doubt in 2023, well, he will probably not be seeded, but still it's tough to think that they will face. But well, however, great rivalries, great matchups, 50-something times between Djokovic and Nadal, 50-something times between Djokovic and Federer, 30 or 40-something.
40,
yeah, 40 between Federer and Nadal. It's impressive.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, one thing that bums me out slightly is that Federer kind of can't play right now, and he just needs to watch as Nadal's gone past him. Djokovic has taken away some other records and is going to go past him, past the 20. And Federer was, like, for me, Federer's legacy is like he was the one to kick off this era. I mean, on the women's side, you had people having careers like this, like way before him. I mean, you had Evert, Navratilova, Graf, and then Serena. But on the men's side, I think Federer was the first one to really like take it to this new level. I mean, and so like he set the bar. And I do think Djokovic and Nadal are better players, but I think it's a bit sad that he can't really try to hold them off anymore. Like, I think they would still be beating him, but he doesn't even have the option to play right now.
Yeah, sure. But we have to remember, and I'm very young and you are too, and we didn't see the first years of Roger, but he was winning 3 slams per year, like
That's
every
right,
year. Yeah. And well, that's, I think if you want to say, I don't know who you retweeted saying that the GOAT debate was now between Djokovic and Nadal because there was the double career Grand Slam and that was non-negotiable. But I still think that if you want to say Roger is the greatest of all time, I have to understand you, because it's true that when Djokovic and Nadal raced, he never won as much as he had won before. But the first years from 2003 to 2009, he was winning literally everything. And there's a journalist here in Spain. Well, he travels to every slam. He's like 70 years old. He's been 50 years traveling to the slams. He's a photographer, and he's called Miguel Ángel Zubiarrain. And I could chat with him during the Djokovic drama. We organized some spaces on Twitter and that, and he came in, and he said that for him, Rod Laver is the greatest of all time. And I asked him, why do you say that? And he said, because he won the calendar year Grand Slam twice, once in the Open era and once before. And I said, all right. So maybe the debate is well, for me, the debate is now between Djokovic and Nadal, in my opinion. But I've been watching tennis for 7 years, so I'm maybe not as prepared to participate in that debate as a 70-year-old man.
No, that's very fair. I mean, that's a balanced way of looking at it. I wish I could be that centered about it. For me, it's Nadal and Djokovic at this point, and it's like and when people disagree with me, I always argue with them. But yeah, I think it's always important to remember like how special all this is, and how like it's not going to happen again, or it might not for a very long time.
So who's the GOAT?
I think it's Djokovic.
I know.
I know you'll disagree with that.
No, not really. Like, I have my reasons to think it's Rafa and my reasons to think it's Djokovic. But, for example, the record of Djokovic of the most weeks as world number one, it's an impressive record, of course. But he would change that for winning 25 Grand Slams and had never been world number one for sure. And I heard David Ferrer saying, he's probably partial, but he said so. Before the Australian Open final, he said, for example, Gaston Gaudio has one Grand Slam and Kei Nishikori doesn't have it. But for me, he said, for me, Nishikori has been a better player than Gaston Gaudio. Yeah. But among the big three, the GOAT debate is the most Grand Slams. He said so. The one ending with the most will be the GOAT, because how are you going to be the GOAT if you have the other one with 2 slams more than you? That's his opinion. And I believe that among the players, maybe they all think like that, no? Like the race now is to be the one with the most slams. That's for sure. Djokovic's number one goal now is beating Nadal on that race. Yeah. Rafa doesn't admit it, but I believe he cares. Yeah, he cares, of course. And he says, I sleep the same if I win, right, if I lose. But of course, he wants to end as the guy with the most slams. So I think it's fair to consider, as we were thinking, like 5 years ago, Roger was 17, Rafa was 14, and Novak was 12, and we all said, wow, Roger has 17. He's the GOAT. There was no debate then. But now it's all tight, and I think the slams are determinant. But I believe Djokovic is going to be the one with the most slams. So yeah, in that case, I will openly say Novak Djokovic is the GOAT. At the moment, so. But I think if they are tied at 21, I would say Djokovic, because there are other records that have more weight. But at the moment, I'm going for Rafa with 21 to 20.
No, I mean, all that is fair, and I don't disagree majorly with anything. I think I put more stock in the other records Djokovic has. Like, I think winning every Masters 1000 twice is ridiculous, and Federer and Nadal have not been close to that. And so I think stuff like that and his head-to-heads, like, I think for me, compensate for the fact that he doesn't have as many majors as Rafa. But I actually think Rafa might end up with more than him.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah. Well, I mean, because right now, like, Nadal is probably going to win Roland Garros, or at the least, he's got a better chance than Djokovic. So if he wins that, it's 22-20. They're both in their mid-30s at this point. I mean, presumably Djokovic will win Wimbledon, probably won't win the US Open, but I don't know. I think a 2-major buffer is good. It's probably going to last a while. Yeah, I think Nadal's got a chance at that.
Yeah, we're going to see. I think I'm really hyped for this year, because I think we're going to have a really interesting thing on the slams. I would like them to face in the slams. That would be fantastic. Yes. And about what you were saying about the Masters, it's of course an out of this world record, like winning twice every slam. Oh, sorry, every Masters. But Nadal has completed, for example, and I'm not, of course, Djokovic has all the merits on this, but Nadal hasn't played Miami since 2017, and has completed Paris-Bercy 4 times in his career. Doesn't play Shanghai since 2018, I think. He won Cincinnati, where he never played well. That 2013 brilliant season he had. Actually, he played much better in Miami many times. I think he lost one final in the third set tiebreak against Djokovic.
Yeah, 2011 was a good match.
Yeah. So, yeah, absolutely, it's a great record, but it's not a goal for them, not for Djokovic. I think like that was, of course, when he played Cincinnati in 2018, that final against Federer, he probably was thinking, it's my chance, I'm going to win all the Masters. But like that was not the record he was looking up to, probably. And maybe for me, it has more weight, the one who wins with most Masters 1000s, that the one who wins them all twice, which is impressive. But the truth is that Rafa doesn't play half of the Masters of a year. This year he's going to play Indian Wells, Madrid, Rome, and Canada, and maybe Paris. So that's the thing. But still an impressive record.
No, that's an interesting way of looking at it. I mean, I think you're right in that as a kid, no one says like one day I want to win all the Masters 1000s twice. That's not the record they dream of. But I think like from my perspective, since I'm like a stats nerd and I watch all the tennis and the highlights and that sort of thing, I think for me that stuff matters. Like I think from the context of from the perspective of a casual fan who just sees like 21, 2020 and they go like, oh, Nadal's the best. Like I think from their perspective that makes sense. But I feel like since I know more stuff than that, I try to evaluate it all. I mean, I do think the majors are the most important, but I think Djokovic has so much other stuff that he can make up for not having as many.
Yeah, in case the thing is tight, I think it's clearly like he has all the records. But well, the head-to-head is all right. Is Djokovic taking, but it's not a big difference. Like that could be turned around in the next 2 tournaments if they face each other in Madrid and Rome, and Rafa manages to win both, they are at 30 all. So wow, 60 matches, incredible.
How cool would that be? Like the 30 all
that would be amazing, and the 61st in the French Open. That would be fantastic. Now I don't know if we'll get that, but it's all very close. Like I think we will be able to judge it when they all retire, and we'll have all their careers, a lot of stuff to analyze, and then have the real debate, because now it's all very open. We don't, because of course if Rafa, he's not going to do it, but if Rafa won the other 3 slams this year, he wins the calendar Grand Slam, probably there's no debate as well. So yeah, we have to wait, and then when they retire, we do that debate seriously.
Yeah, the problem with having it now is that it constantly changes, because I remember at the start of last year, I think there were people who still had Djokovic as third, and by the end of the year, I think a lot of those same people had him as first. So like the risk with having it now is you have to reevaluate after every tournament. Yeah,
and he was 1 match away from ending the debate. Absolutely, no. That the calendar year Grand Slam in such a competitive tour like we have, and we had in 2021 would have been like out of this world. I actually wanted Djokovic to win that US Open, because like we were witnessing history. We were witnessing something that hadn't happened in 1969. So well, that would have been incredible, but Daniil was there, and you had to beat him, and of course that's a match with a lot of pressure. Like he was crying in the third set. It's really tough dealing with that, but that was the thing.
Yeah, I mean that was so interesting, because and Serena said this too when she was going for it in 2015, and she got really close. She lost in the semis of the US Open. I think they both said after, like, I was just glad it was over, because like that, just so much pressure, everyone expecting you to win every match.
who would have said that Serena was going to lose to Roberta Vinci?
Right.
And she's playing now, by the way, the World Padel Tour. I don't know if you know that sport, but
No.
she's playing that. It's a sport that is mainly played here in Spain and Argentina, padel. It has some similarities with tennis, and she's playing main draws in the World Tour. Like I don't know, she might be number 60 or number 70 in the world right now, which is incredible. And who would have said that player was going to be that Serena Williams? But the pressure plays a very big role in this sport. Absolutely.
Yeah, and crazy things can just happen for no apparent reason as well. Like just such weird stuff happens in tennis. I mean, like with that Alcaraz match point against De Minaur, like how did he run around to hit a forehand on that shot on match point? How did he make it? Like there's sometimes you just have to embrace the insanity and accept that there are no explanations.
That's the magic of tennis. It's I think it's why we love this sport. No, we have I would say it was 8-7, 40-15, and the girl with the woman with the one. I mean in Wimbledon 2019, and then what happened there? It was two aces and the third was coming, and then what happened?
Right.
12-all in the tiebreak, and Djokovic 12-all tiebreak, and Djokovic takes it. So tennis is an impressive sport. I think we witnessed that Nadal triumph in Australia this year, which was the best example we can give to anyone. No, like, please, you should be hooked to this sport because it brings you impressive things.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think that's a good note to end on. I think I don't have anything to add to that. Hugo, if people want to see your work or follow you on Twitter, where can they find you?
Sorry?
If people want to follow you on Twitter or read your articles, where should they go?
Yeah, it's Crony Sport. But if they find my name, Hugo Durán, which might not be easy to English speakers, but still, I think it will be appearing in the title of the podcast. Yeah. So no problem. Yeah, and I'm tweeting a lot there, especially when there is tennis, when the hot things come, and of course you can read me in Canal Tennis where I'm writing every day in Spanish, but you have the option to translate, and that's nice. And I also write for Revista Chapman, a magazine, monthly, one article a month, where it's more like an opinion article and very big articles, more and more deep, which is a nice project to as well. So that's it. Nothing more than that.
No, that's awesome. Well, let me know next time you write for the magazine, because I don't think I've read your pieces there before. So I'd definitely like to see that.
Yeah, I'll send you that. I think it's a really new project. It was born in last year in July or something, and I bumped into the creator, and he told me he had nobody to write about tennis, and I said, man, once a month, it's perfect for me. So yeah, I'll send you that pieces.
Yeah, that's fantastic. What did you write about last month?
About the beginning of the year for Rafa Nadal. I don't know what I said for the title, but like something. Well, yeah, that speaking about that fighting spirit and how he never gives up, and yeah, the way he won against Medvedev was impressive.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, thanks for doing this.
All right, thanks for listening. That was it for Hugo's and Owen's conversation at the Tennis and Bagels episode this week. Don't forget that you can follow us at Tennis and Bagels on Twitter and on Facebook and on Instagram. If you like it, we don't post that much on Instagram and Facebook, but maybe in the future we will do. So you can give us a follow if you want to, and you can follow Tennis Nation, who's actually Owen, is at Tennis Nation on Twitter as well. And Hugo is at Crony Sport, so CRONI Sport. And I am at Rolenberg Andre, and Vansh is at VanshV2K, are the third part of this podcast, or should I say actually second, because he came in a bit before Owen did. So yeah, hope you enjoyed this episode and see you in the next one. Bye.